everybody. Hello. So just want to check in with you. Hey, how's it going? What you been up to lately? Hopefully you have been working like busy little beavers. You should have been, and it's normal if you have been. If you haven't, and you've just been slacking and playing games and watching Korean dramas or whatever else, then you better try and reorient yourself, because you're in the IB diploma course, very tough course, which requires you to work pretty hard and keep on top of it. Anyway, I thought I'd just make a quick little video for you, give you some comments and advice about the recent unit assignment, and sort of talk about what you were supposed to do there and give you a bit of feedback on that, and maybe show you one of the top performers that I graded, and that all of that should give you an idea about how you can approach this task in the future. After that, I'd like to maybe talk to you a little bit about how you should be approaching the coursework in general. All right, let's start out with this unit assignment. If we go to what the unit assignment was, there it is there. Select one of these knowledge statements. And then for that statement, you had to create a presentation that explored the statement and briefly answers the questions from the knowledge framework and makes reference to both personal and shared knowledge. So you really should have looked at that assignment, that task outline, and made sure that your task filled each one of those. All right. Many of you, some of you didn't do all of that. You kind of, I don't know what you did, but you didn't do all of that. In future with these tasks, can you please make sure you follow the task requirements, right? And then it said that your presentation should be in the form of a video script, a storyboard, a short video or podcast. All right. You should have done one of those. That's what should have been done. Please make sure that you follow the task requirements. But alternatively, you could upload one of these other task file types. That was an alternative. Many of you did that as the main thing, as the main task. Wish you hadn't, because, endless, boring PowerPoints, get to see them years on end as a teacher, and it's over and over and over again. Okay? Would it be nice if you'd done it in the form of a video script, a storyboard? Wonderful. Lovely to do that, because that's what you were asked to do. If you had a web-based presentation, wow, fancy, 21st century kind of stuff, then you could have given us the URL. That would have looked impressive. That would have looked like you're living in the year 2017, approaching 2018, not way back in 1995 when you were born and PowerPoint was first being used widely. Okay, we've seen it. Now, you then had to look at the criteria, engagement, and clarity of presentation. You really should check the criteria before you do these tasks. Okay, I don't know why my thing is jumping around there. But, check the criteria, folks, before you start engaging with the tasks. Make sure you know what you had to do. Still wants to jump around. Let's jump over and have a look, since it likes jumping. Let's go and have a look at an example from one of your colleagues. One of you did this, right? Video script. There's the knowledge statement, very nicely, clearly stated. I'm not going to tell you which one of the students did this, but the person got 63 out of 70, which is 9 out of 10. Not the highest score, by the way. The highest score was actually an MP4 file. Can't show you that right now easily, but that one got 10 out of 10. This one got 9 out of 10, so you can see what it's in the spirit of the task, okay? So the screen fades into a picture of the human brain and then into a clip of several people crossing a street. How could she have gotten 10 out of 10? If this was a she, might have been a he. Well, maybe an image there of the human brain and several people crossing the street. Show that little bit of extra attention to detail. Voiceover. Why aren't theories in the human sciences, like psychology and economics, considered as concrete as those made in the natural sciences, like physics and chemistry? Great question. All right? Jumping into a clip of two women in lab coats viewing a sample underneath a microscope. This clip plays for 10 seconds. Voiceover. When would a theory be considered absolute or concrete? Interesting. Not sure if this dichotomy completely works, but it's okay for now. An image appears on the screen, right? So this is a little bit like a storyboard, really, without the images themselves. Nice to have the image there. Voiceover. Once a theory is tested thoroughly using scientific method and is accepted, it becomes law. Definition of science appears on the screen. Most people would agree that science is systematically observing natural events and then use those observations to develop laws and principles. This is very TOK-ish. This is an example of shared knowledge. You see, that's where the TOK comes in. Theory of knowledge. So we're talking about knowledge. An image appears naming the steps. Okay, so these are the steps in the scientific method. This isn't really the scientific method. It is, the bits and pieces that make up scientific reasoning. If you did research on the scientific method, you'll find that scientific method is a little bit more general than this as well. Of course, these are inside it. But is there only one scientific method? Are there other ways to approach it? When we outline it like this, it sort of looks like, first we have to observe, then we have to think of a hypothesis, then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do that. Okay? Now, it's not always in that order. Okay? Sometimes we do it out of that order. Sometimes we're just fooling around. We're just experimenting, throwing chemicals together, see what happens, and then boom, the lab blows up. So then we say, now we come to our observation that the lab blew up when I started mixing chemicals A and B together. Why did that happen? Gosh, maybe it was because of this, and then we come to it. So it can be out of order, you see. So there's not only one, the method. No, that's normally how we write about it, though, so it's okay. Voiceover, however, the study of human behavior in psychology is often missing tightly controlled experimental conditions and conclusive results that would be found in particle physics, right? Because you're dealing with humans. So you can't control humans in the same way that you can control, the movement of particles inside a Hadron Collider. All right, so they've got the Hadron Collider. I hope you all know what the Hadron Collider is. If you don't, then you should go to Google immediately and find out, because it's cool. Human behavior is very complex and it's highly subjective. That's right, okay? Plethora, what a beautiful word. The various factors that determine are flashed and explained on the screen. Voiceover, human behavior is often considered too abstract to define. What does that mean? Well, for example, a definition of happiness. How can we measure and quantify something as abstract as happiness? And also something as variable, culturally variable. My sense of happiness, I'm happy when I'm quite depressed, actually. I like being depressed. It makes me feel happy. So, it's not quite straightforward to define a notion like happiness or love, etc., or suffering. Some people are suffering when they're actually happy, when they're feeling joyful and they're joking and they're living with their friends and they're all happy and having a great time. They would say, this is a kind of suffering for me. I'd much prefer to be living in a rainforest with animals. I think that would be better for me. Okay, so for the above reasons, there aren't laws in the human sciences. There are theories. Interesting. Okay, so, and then she explains what she means there. Has she treated the knowledge statement? One of the reasons that the human sciences have difficulty with theories being absolute is because they're trying to provide explanations. Yes, I think so, right? When we look at all of that, we can see that she really did stay focused on that. And so when I go over and try to mark it, and I look over at this, I gave 5 there, I think, and 4 here. Presentation shows sharply focused engagement with the knowledge framework. Sharply focused engagement with personal and shared, yes. Presentation shows sharply focused engagement with the concept of TOK, yes. All right. Clear and highly engaged, yes. So 5 points there, definitely. Or maybe 4.5, and then 4.5 here because there were a couple of weaknesses that I thought. But look, 9 out of 10, that's an A in TOK. That'll get you a good chunk of the points for that extra bit. All right, so now let's have a look. So that's the first part of this presentation, the unit assignment and one of the top performers. And then I know that the coursework right now is actually pretty complicated. There's a lot for you to do. So I just wanted to, outline these a little bit here. You've got 2 main things to do. Think of it like that. All right, and then you break your week up according to these 2 things. You've got the requirements of each module, and you've got the requirements of the discussion, okay? So in the module, you've got a stimulus, you've got an activity, you've got a reflection. Generally, it's set out like that. Sometimes there's another little detail here somewhere, but, you need to look at the stimulus, then do whatever activity you've been asked to do, and then to reflect on that activity, okay? So reflection is very much part of TOK. Try to do the module requirements early in the week. Get them out of the way. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at the latest type thing. Or if it's a big activity or a big reflection, then you could leave it to the Saturday morning when you've got a bit of time to really, sit with it. But if I were you, I'd try and get it out of the way during the week so that then, you've got your discussion requirements where you've got to thoughtfully put together a post. You've got to put something together that's thoughtful and based on, the module, what you've done, the work that you've done inside the module. And then you want to have a look at what other people's posts are and make 2 comments. And, please, isn't it a bit tiresome always reading over and over and over again? I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. Aren't you guys getting sick of that? Because I'm getting sick of it. You don't need to do that. Just jump straight in with your comment, okay? We're all intelligent enough now to see whether you're agreeing or disagreeing with the comment. And by the way, I haven't seen too many people disagree. Why? Is that because we all like holding hands and saying that we're all singing la 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 together? Well, no, it's okay to disagree with each other, okay? This is a discussion. We want to bring different viewpoints into the mix. So have a look at what your peers have written and then engage with it. You don't need to have this la-di-da, I agree and disagree business going on with every single post. You can extend their thinking. You can elaborate it, or you can bring in an example to support it. If you agree, then think of an example that can substantiate what your peer has said. And then don't forget that, if everybody has commented on everybody else's posts, then you should go back and have a look and see what people said about your post, okay? And then see what they commented and then reply to it. I haven't seen too many people having replies. There've been a couple, but it would be nice, right? So make sure you come back Monday, Tuesday and have a reply, because that's kind of cool. That's when you're engaging in a real discussion. And then, that's normal. That's your normal week going on there. And the unit assessment is at the end of every unit. That I would start thinking about that during the week, start making some notes and some ideas about it, and then hit it hard on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, for about 2 hours or so. Sometimes it's going to take you a bit longer than that. Sometimes it might not take you as long as that. But that's how you can get the rhythm of the course going, right? So start your requirements Wednesday, Thursday, then start doing your work here on the weekend. That's how I would recommend doing it. Then you stick to that rhythm, And then you see it's only 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours there. So, 2 to 3 hours. That's it. That's what I would do if I were you guys wanting to get a good score in this course. All right.